Hey everybody, Douglas Blair Roberts here, the Super Vader 400 and the brown skin Hewitt, coming back at you with another video cartoon intro remake review intro. This is the intro to various remade cartoon reviews and rants. For some odd reason, even though I did do this in the past, when it one of the Sonic songs I used has a copyright on it, and it's not a big deal. But if I ever when I decide to set this channel up, when I get eligible for monetization, I can't get any money from ads from the video, so that's why I'm just redoing it with two different songs that surprisingly don't have copyrights on them. This version is the same as the last one, except my clothes and stuff will be different, and of course the intro songs will be different. Instead of using what I'm made of, I will use the songs intros will be Weekend and Sonic's Back in Time. And for cartoons that do deserve a rant, or for videos that do deserve a rant, what I'm made of will be used as the outro for the various cartoons. So yeah, this is the intro to various narration. Part 1 will be narration. Second part will be season and episode webcam reviews spliced together to one video. Some of these won't go on all platforms. Yes, some of these will only go on YouTube, and some of these will only go on Facebook. So with that being said, let's get started right now. Let's go back in time to when television and cartoons were great.
Alright, it's time for another retro cartoon block review, and this time I'm looking at BKN Kids Network, Baja Kids Network, or Bulldog TV, which it was later rebranded as. This entire block aired from 1992 till 2000 with 3 rebrandings. The first was Amazing Adventures briefly in 1992 on Sunday mornings. Then they sold it. And brought the block back in, I think 95 or 96 as Baja Kids. Oh yeah, BKN Networks. Then they went through another rebranding in 97 with the same name, BKN Networks, just different bumpers. And in 99, their final rebranding as Bulldog TV with a weird bumper that looks like a failed pilot from a television series featuring a bulldog with a private's hat on, constantly barking. So yeah, this block right here, alongside the USA Cartoon Express and Action Extreme blocks, this block right here, in my opinion, was the greatest retro cartoon block of the 90s, even better than the famed Kids WB and Fox Kids based kids blocks. This block, alongside the other block I just mentioned, had the best lineup of shows, especially during their final run. I'm only going to talk about and mention the shows I've either heard of, have seen, or have seen, or yes, I like and have seen. Those are the ones I'm going to talk about. There's a lot of shows on here that I'm not going to mention, but yeah, this is also, in my opinion, the weakest block, not for the program but for the bumpers. It's just the bumpers were kind of repetitive and they weren't creative like it was with the other retro television blocks at the time. I mentioned the 99 version just has the bulldog barking, and then they would show random scenes from the show. You're about to watch. Then the BKN Network was the same. They would just show the BKN Kids Network logo over and over and over again, and then show scenes from the show you're about to watch. The Amazing Adventures was the same thing. That's the only thing that makes it the weakest. But other than that, when it comes to this lineup of shows, it was the greatest block ever. And I'm mad at myself once again for never hearing about this block until recently. I at least knew of USA Cartoon Express and Action Extreme. I never saw this block, despite being old enough to see this block. It wasn't old enough to see the first batch in 92 through 96, and in 97 I briefly didn't have cable, so I couldn't watch the first 2 versions. But the final one, BKN Bulldogs TV, BKN Kids Bulldogs TV, the final version in 99, 2000, where they rebranded as a pure action adventure block. I'm mad at myself for never seeing that. By this time, I had my own television. I had my own room television and cable back. So I'm mad, and I was always looking for kids television channels to watch besides the ones I was already familiar with. And I'm mad at myself for never seeing this block. A lot of the cartoons on this block, especially the ones that were premiering, I either just recently saw now, or just recently saw in recent decades, or sometime in the 2000s decades, long as they were aired, such as the very first show we're going to talk about on this block, and that's one of my all-time favorite shows, and that's Sonic Underground. I first heard about this show in the mid to late 2000s, and this show was on in 99 and 2000. This awesome show right here was on in 99 and 2000. I'm mad at myself for never seeing this show right here, Sonic Underground. Sonic Underground. I didn't take the time to watch the show till the mid to late 2010s, but I first heard of the show in the mid 2000s. But I'm mad at myself for never seeing this awesome gem of a Sonic cartoon when it was on. But this was according to Wikipedia, this was acquired from acquired from Deke Entertainment. Then you had one of my all-time favorite 90s shows and cartoons, action cartoons in general, and that is the Double Dragon cartoon, which was on various networks. Yes, it was featured here. It was featured here too. Then you had Rambo and the Force of Freedom, which I started watching in 2014. First heard about this in the mid to late 2000s. I first heard about Rambo, the Force of Freedom. Sky Surfer Strike Force, which reminds me, which is vastly similar to Double Dragon, a pure anime based light cartoon, which I just recently started, which I first heard about in 2013 and just recently started watching it a couple of years ago. Then you got Ultra Force, which I discovered this and the other superhero cartoon Wildcats in 2013 when I think it was Newsrama or some online reviewing site where they counted down the worst superhero cartoons, and Ultra Force was on the list. Ultra Force wasn't the greatest superhero cartoon of the 90s, but it was far from the worst. There's even a short, brief Ultra Force review. Then, of course, the Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog, and King Arthur and the Knights of Justice, the extreme dinosaurs and Street Sharks cartoon, which I started watching for the first time in 2014. Now, Street Sharks, on the other hand, I've gave my history with Street Sharks in various videos. I saw the Street Sharks VHSs at the store, at Blockbusters, numerous times back in the 90s and early 2000s, and I always skipped them because I always chose not to rent them because I always saw them as a shameless ripoff of the Ninja Turtles. Now, several years later, a decade later, in 2014, where I would watch Street Sharks for the first time, I think Street Sharks is way better than the original animated incarnation of the Ninja Turtles, and I like how they have a cinematic animated universe, their own cinematic animated universe with they have their own shared universe with the next cartoon, the extreme dinosaurs, even crossing over with each other numerous times. So yeah, extreme dinosaurs. Then you have the extreme Ghostbusters, which is not as good as the original real adventures of Ghostbusters, but was a solid sequel. Sorry about that. Then you got the legendary Monster Rancher cartoon. This cartoon also had a 90s version of the Wizards of Oz, which I want to check out. You also had other shows like Mighty Max. Like I said, these are shows I want to check out. The Wizard of Oz, Mighty Max I've heard of, but I've never really been that interested, and not sure if I'll ever check out Mighty Max. The only Max I care about is Fantastic Max. Not going to show pictures of those. And then, last but not least, was your 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 the two new shows that were exclusive to the blocks, which are already new for me, and that was Roughneck Starship Trooper Chronicles, which is a CGI Max Steel Action Man reboot style of series, and a prototypical Halo, which is what this show is, Roughneck Starship Troopers. And then of course the much superior Roswell's conspiracies, aliens, myths, and legends, a a Marvel DC animated Men in Black Infinity sci-fi action adventure based show. So yes, like I said, a great lineup of shows, and there are other stuff too. But like I said, I'm only going to talk about the stuff I remember and recognize and I'm interested in talking about. Oh yeah, and then one final show. There, that was Captain Simeon and the Space Monkeys, which is a show a brief subscriber introduced me to in 2000. Was it 13 or 14? And I've seen the show and finally got to watch the show. And it's not the best, but it's pretty good. So yeah. Oh, and by the way, to watch this entire block, like I said, a YouTube username Rinse and Repeat uploaded this block, and this one is still up on his channel. You can see this block. You can see the block in its entirety with all the 90s and 2000s commercials associated with it, and bumpers in the description box below. Also, a larger real life superhero review and rant. Part 2 will be in the description box below, which will have footage from the show, in the background. All right, you don't want to hear the rest of the music? Turn the video off right now.